Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Village Board for February 3rd, 2020. Would the color guard please present the colors? Please rise.
Honor guard, forward, march. Prepare to post. Post. Present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Left face. Forward, march.
Be seated. Clerk Simpson, roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Here.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
President Horker?
Here. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of January 20th, 2020. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Give the motion to Trustee Lang, second to Trustee Papantos. Roll call.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Abstain.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are none.
Thank you. Clerk Simpson, proclamations.
Celebrating the 100th anniversary of the League of Women Voters, on February 14th, 1920, the League of Women Voters was formed at the Congress Hotel in Chicago, Illinois. The League was formed 6 months prior to, but in anticipation of ratification of the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote in the United States. The League was a political experiment designed to help 20 million women carry out their new responsibilities as voters by educating them about issues. From the beginning, the League determined that it would be nonpartisan, neither supporting nor opposing any political party or individual candidate. The League continues today as a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Today, the League is composed of members in over 700 local, county, and state leagues in all 50 states, plus the District of Columbia, the Virgin Islands, and Hong Kong. Among those states' leagues is the League of Women Voters of Illinois. There was incorporated on March 22nd, 1920, and in turn is composed of over 40 local leagues with almost 4,000 members. Leagues at all levels, among other activities, register voters, educate voters by holding candidate forums and publishing voter guides, publish public policy research, and hold meetings on key issues. The League is a civic organization that has fought since 1920 to improve government and engage everyone in the decisions that impact their lives. Patrick Horker, President of the Village of Wheeling, Illinois, does hereby offer congratulations to the League of Women Voters on their 100th anniversary.
Thank you, Clerk Simpson. Mr. Graham is not here. Ms. Weiser. In recognition of all that the League of Women's Voters do, I mean, it's nice to, well, it's a 100-year anniversary, which is significant, and they are active in making people aware of the candidates and the position. So it's definitely worth recognizing. So thank you for accepting that.
I'll swear again, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Thank you.
Okay. I didn't move. Chief Dunn.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. On behalf of the Wheeling Police Department and the Village of Wheeling, I'd like to congratulate the 4 members of the Police Department tonight that are going to be promoted or appointed to new positions. Wheeling Police Department has a long tradition of serving the members of the public, and these 4 members who are moving up in the ranks and into different positions, leadership positions, I have full confidence that they'll carry that out. It's a tribute to them by the mere presence of the people here tonight, including other public safety members, the fire department, training academies, the general public, and your peers. This is a good showing for you. We have several retired members here. Thank you for coming back and sharing the day with your former teammates. We appreciate that. So we will do the promotions in order. So the first would be Commander Jim Borchardt, if you'd like to step up. Jim is a graduate of NIU, 1998. He was hired in the year 2000. He was promoted to sergeant in 2018. He has served in many positions, including tactical officer, special operations, detectives, investigation unit, former warrant team member. He just recently graduated from the prestigious Northwestern University Center for Public Safety. He has numerous letters of commendations and letters from residents complimenting on his work. Would you like to introduce your family members and guests?
Sure. My wife, Marilee, my 2 sons, Ryan and Drew, my parents, my in-laws. I have a brother-in-law, 3 sister-in-laws, 3 nieces, and a nephew. I think I got everyone.
Marilee, you want to step up? And if you want to step over.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, James Borchardt,
I, James Borchardt,
having been promoted to the position of commander
have been promoted to the position of commander
in the police department of the Village of Wheeling,
in the police department of the Village of Wheeling,
in the counties of Cook and Lake,
in the counties of Cook and Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of
commander
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I need you to sign this. Wait, congratulations. Just want to thank the village manager as well as the village board and command staff for giving me this opportunity, my family and friends for supporting me, and coworkers, past and present. And I'm looking forward to this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Sergeant Richard Giltner. Ricky's a graduate of Western Illinois University and a former Wheeling Police Department intern. He was hired in 2011. He has served in many divisions within the police department, including patrol and investigations. He was a supervisor at the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy in 2019. He has numerous letters of commendation and letters from residents thanking him for his outstanding efforts. Do you introduce your guests?
My wife, Nicole, my sons, Liam and Declan, my parents, and I guess it's a challenge, so I have 2 aunts, 2 cousins, my in-laws, 2 nieces, my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law.
I, Richard Giltner.
I-
What's your right name?
I, Richard Giltner,
Having been promoted to the position of sergeant
having been promoted to the position of sergeant
in the police department of the Village of Wheeling,
in the police department in the Village of Wheeling,
in the counties of Cook and Lake,
the counties of Cook and Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of sergeant
of sergeant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
I'd just like to thank the village board, the police department, the chief, the command staff, and all the guys that are here. I have FTOs here, people that I was served as an academy with as a supervisor, people that I was partners with in investigations. It's all kind of molded me to this point to help me advance. So thanks everyone for being here, and I look forward to this opportunity.
If everybody can keep the Giltners in their thoughts and prayers this week, as many of you know, they have twin boys, and Liam has had some issues, and Liam's going to have surgery this week, and it's going to be a challenge for them for body cast for 8 weeks. 6 weeks? Yes. But, so if you can keep them in your thoughts and prayers, that'd be great. Corporal Tom Pinedo. So the corporal's position is an appointed position by me, and the way this position is decided on is by your position on the sergeant's test and your ability, your next up to be promoted to sergeant as the positions align themselves. And it's a leadership position, and in the absence of myself and or a sergeant, they are, they're the watch commander and they run a shift, and they're responsible for police operations. Tom is I guess you can't say former. Tom is a United States Marine. He was hired in 1999. He's been a patrol officer, a school resource officer at Wheeling High School, TAC officer, special operations, NORTAF investigator, and an MCAT investigator. He's received numerous letters of commendations. One thing, Tom, I don't know if he's aware of it yet, but we're members of the Major Case Assistance Team, which is numerous police departments in the northwest suburbs, and Tom has been named the 2019 MCAT Investigator of the Year with his work on numerous homicides, so congratulations on that. If you'd like to introduce your guests.
My wife Blanca's here and my daughter Rebecca. My boys couldn't make it today, they were at work. And everyone here that came to see us, thank you.
Corporal Ignacio Oropeza Hernandez, Nacho, which he wants me to call him, so don't sue me. Nacho was raised in Wheeling. He's homegrown talent. He's a graduate of Wheeling High School, graduate of Western Illinois University. He's been with the Village of Wheeling collecting a paycheck, employed since 2004. He's worked in almost every division within our agency, patrol officer, investigator, evidence technician, field training officer. Also served as an MCAT investigator and a NORTAF investigator. He's a peer support officer, a program we started recently as we help take care of our own in these trying and challenging times. And Nacho has also received numerous letters of commendations, letters from residents, and his file is full of wonderful law enforcement work, and we look forward to his leadership.
No, I just want to say thank you to, oh, I'm sorry. I just want to thank everyone that's here, that's present, and hopefully with the village board, you could see what everyone here that just got promoted can do, and hopefully we do it to the best of our capacity. Thank you.
And my thanks to President Horker and the board for your continued support. We do the best we can, trying times, but you demand a lot of us, and I believe we deliver it to you, and we do it with a smile on our face. So thank you.
I know I say the same thing over and over about our police officers, but I believe it, so I'm going to keep saying it. We always expect the best of you when other people around you are at their worst, and you guys always, rise to the occasions. We are truly fortunate to have the force that we have, and I thank your families for sharing them with us. So. There are refreshments in the lobby. I need a motion for a recess about 15 minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion, trustee Rufato, second, trustee Kruger. All in favor?
Aye.
Recess.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. I need a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
trustee Rufato, second trustee, was that Kruger? No,
Papantos.
Papantos?
Papantos.
Other Mary.
Other Mary? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Citizens' concerns and comments. Clerk Simpson.
Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting.
Just as a reminder, this is a time for the citizens to make their comments and express their concerns and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor staff will be answering questions.
Linda Callahan?
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to introduce myself tonight at your meeting. My name is Linda Callahan. I am the Executive Director of the Greater Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce. For most of my career, I was involved business-to-business, consumer and business-to-business sales in a few different industries. What I took from this area of sales was the art of relationship building. What I've taken from that is bringing that to the Chamber of Commerce. And before coming to the Wheeling Chamber of Commerce, I was Executive Director for Lincolnwood Chamber. And that's where I really began to learn the value of belonging to the Chamber of Commerce, what it means to the businesses. I enjoyed working with the village managers, president, economic development, the trustees, and with that to come to an understanding of how we can work together with the business community to assist them in achieving success, which ultimately benefits the village and our community. I plan on continuing this business model here in Wheeling, and in the couple of months I've been here, I have found that there's a very engaged business community here. They work very well together, and they openly welcome the guidance and help of the Chamber of Commerce. I've also found that many businesses are very aware of the programs within the schools, both the middle schools in District 21 and High School District 214, and their Career Pathways program. As the director of the Chamber of Commerce, one of my goals is to help this program, the programs within the school, work with the businesses and see how they can fit together. I want you to feel very confident that the office that you very graciously provided the Chamber will be utilized to the benefit of our business community. Our mission is to offer programs to help engage businesses, to help bring them together, to help each other. We also show them how to best market themselves through the Chamber of Commerce and show them a support system and let them know that Wheeling is vested in their success. I would love to hear any feedback from you towards the Chamber, any suggestions and anything you'd like to share with me. I'm here in Office 203. If you'd like to, feel free to stop by anytime. And thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Callahan.
Ms. Wilson?
Tonight, Wheeling Police Chief Jamie Dunn administered oaths and introduced Ignacio Oropeza as a corporal. I'm just beside myself because, was it a year ago, I was up here reading to you the appellate court Justice Neville's finding that he represented all three people on the panel, that the false arrest and improper 5-year incarceration of a teenage boy named Jesus Sanchez was an atrocity because repeatedly the young man said to Detective Oropeza, "Please let me call my mom. Please let me call my mom. She just had surgery. She'll be worried about me." That appellate court ruling read like deja vu, 78 or 81? of the Billy Boyd case that he was falsely, they kept him all night, wouldn't let him talk to his parents. Now, the fact patterns in these is not something I will compare, but what is noteworthy is one of our highest appellate court justices, Justice Novell, his particular decision in overturning Jesus Sanchez's murder conviction, it was the first of its kind. Legal blogs across the nation have been blogging about this. It was the first time an appellate court didn't just say overturned or not overturned. They went one step further and said there is no way with the evidence that was given to the trial court that you could have possibly concluded that he did the crime, because the evidence suggested the bullet came from an entirely different direction. The unfortunate promotion of Ignacio Oropeza shows that you champion the violation of basic due process and someone's civil rights. Everybody is allowed a phone call. He was a teenage boy. He lost 5 years of his life, and he's not getting that back. And you promote the detective that the appellate court Justice Novell noted broke so many rules, violating this young man's due process of civil rights. And maybe you don't care if somebody in the listening audience, it's not my kid. Well, you know what? He's suing us, and it'll be millions. And he has every right to. He lost those 5 years. He's not getting those years back. So I don't know who this Ignacio Oropeza knows, but I know that Jamie Don went to St. Mary's Catholic School with Ray Lang. They're good buddies. And Dean Argyris' quote in the Daily Herald is saying, oh, I hope our officers hope to be promoted, but, you know, the village manager only put one candidate before us for police chief. It was, you know, done. Well, I come to find out they went to Catholic school together since they're little kids. So is that how we give people jobs based on who they're friends with? Is that why Ignacio Oropeza is being promoted to corporal? Do you have any intention in de-incentivizing the violation of due process and civil rights among our law enforcement? Because if I'm a cop right now, I'm thinking, man, it doesn't pay to do the right thing. I'd better do some butt kissing if I want to get promoted. This guy has made Wheeling famous as an example of what not to do in an arrest, and you saw fit to promote him. You have a whole sea of blue here. I'm sure somebody else would have been more well qualified. Wheeling voters, I have done all I can. We need people to rise up in 2021 and run for trustee. We need to flip this entire board, or your boys and girls will continue to be violated by men who are with a badge like Ignacio Oropeza. Do not trust Ignacio Oropeza. Tell your children this is not a man you should trust to be questioned with without your parents or a lawyer. He's a very bad man. And you see fit to sit idly by and, oh, let's have cake. I disagree with the appellate court. I think he's a fine officer. We ought to promote him. Jamie Dunn, what are you doing? I can't even call you chief. How do you do that? You got all those other guys out there. How are they feeling? What's their morale like? They follow a standard operating procedure, and they see this guy that's suing us for millions get promoted? We're a national embarrassment. Legal blogs across the country are talking about this.
5 minutes. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
That's it.
That's it. Back to business. Staff reports. Chief Dunn. Nice showing tonight.
Yes. And Corporal Oropeza is an outstanding police officer. In conjunction with the Chamber tonight, welcome. The Wheeling Police Department is participating with them in an active shooter training event. It'll be held here in this room on Thursday, February 20th from 11:30 to 1. It's be presented by Sergeant Heim and Sergeant Elwert. And everybody, business members, residents, you're welcome to attend. If you can contact the Wheeling Chamber at their website or call them, and it's $15 for members, $20 for non-members. And this training's been well received over the last few years.
These two individual sergeants have received specialized training in this area, and we're happy to share that with our business community, our residents, and we'll continue to partner with the Chamber in any way that we can that benefits everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Janik.
Thank you. Public Works works alongside Finance Department to monitor a water meter system, as you all know. I just want to just re-review that benefit, both for your information as well as the people watching. We utilize two different systems for our water meter system. One is a internal system that we use called Census, and then there's a customer portal called Aquahawk. All residents can sign up for Aquahawk, and then they can monitor their own water use if they would like to do so. What we do at the village is we also monitor water use. We have to do this both to track all the water that comes into the city to make sure that we're not losing water. But we've also instituted this as a benefit to the residents and the businesses. So we will track water usage, and when there's too much water usage on a historical basis for a property, depending on how much water that is. We will contact the residents or the businesses by phone, by email, that sort of thing, and let them know what's going on. We've had some recent successes lately, and it's just something that, it's been beneficial for us, and it's beneficial for the residents, and just wanted to remind everybody what's out there. Leaks can be toilet that's running, a hose outside that has been left on, broken pipe, that sort of thing. And it's just something I wanted to remind everybody of, that they can sign up for this, they can track it themselves, but they also have us as a backup. So if a lot of water is being used, we often will catch this and contact people.
There was an email last week. Public Works went and left a note on somebody's door.
That's correct.
Want to tell them?
Well, it's a situation just like I'm saying. We saw undue usage of water. We did contact the residents, and it turns out that, yes, there was a substantial amount of water that was being drained out of the system without their knowledge, but we saw it on our system. We were able to stop that, and it saved them a lot of money.
It was a frozen spigot or something.
That's correct. Yeah. So I just want to remind everybody of what's out there, particularly for water.
So Big Brother's helping a little.
Big brother, little brother.
Ms. Weezer, you have something on the census for us? Where'd you go?
I'm over here.
There you are.
Good evening. I wanted to show you a little show and tell tonight. This is our Census Mobile Assistance Center that we will be implementing throughout the village. We have two of them. As you know, the census begins. You will get your invitation in the middle of March, and Census Day is April 1st. You'll be able to answer the census by phone, on the internet, and on paper. So we want to be able to provide people access to the forms, or to be able to fill those things out on online, and this will be in different locations in the village.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if they fill it out online, nobody has to come to their house?
Correct.
Clerk Simpson, consent agenda.
Number 11, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, resolution authorizing the approval of an annual Astro infrastructure service agreement with Motorola Solutions related to the dispatch capabilities within the 911 center in an amount not to exceed $35,980 in 2020. Item 11B, resolution authorizing participation in the Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Collaborative and authorizing the village manager to approve a contract with the lowest cost electricity provider for a period of up to 36 months. 11C, resolution authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement for executive recruitment services with GOVHR USA in an amount not to exceed $18,000. Item 11D, resolution waiving the fidelity bond requirements for AMVET's Philip Carpenter Post 66 to conduct a raffle event from January through December 2020. Item 11E, resolution accepting a proposal in the amount of $117,174 with AECOM Technical Services for construction engineering services required for the lead service line replacement program. 11F, ordinance amending Title IV, Business and Licensing Regulations of the Wheeling Village Code regarding the imposition of a municipal cannabis retailer's occupation tax. Item 11G, resolution authorizing change order number 2 in the amount of $18,970 and change order number 3 in the amount of $24,800 to the contract with Parvin Claus Sign Company Incorporated for the Village Gateway signs, a total increase of $7,595 to the original project amount.
We have no questions or comments. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion, trustee Papantos.
Second.
Trustee Rufato. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. We have a presentation. Clerk Simpson.
13A, presentation regarding NPDES/MS4 stormwater requirements.
Mr. Janik.
Thank you. Each year, the village receives a permit for stormwater from the state of Illinois, and each year we are required to have a presentation for education relative to our stormwater system. Baxter & Woodman has been providing that service for us for the past few years. They are here tonight to provide a presentation relative to the stormwater system, and in particular the stormwater permit called MS4.
Thank you, Mr. Janik. Good evening. A couple of years ago, I was here to present this program to the public. It's the program that Illinois EPA requires the village have to protect local waterways from pollutants in stormwater discharges. Is this how I advance the slides? Yes, great, thanks. So nothing has really changed in the program since I was last year. You're still operating, implementing under the same permit from Illinois EPA that you had since then. That could change in a couple of years. In 2021, Illinois EPA will issue a new statewide permit for protection of local waters from storm drain discharges, and the village may have to implement new policies, new programs, but we'll see what becomes of that. So here we're really talking about the separate storm sewer system that the village has, not the sanitary sewer system or combined sewer system that goes to treatment, to wastewater treatment plants. We're talking about the separate storm sewer system, that municipal separate storm sewer system that discharges directly to Buffalo Creek, McDonald Creek, the Des Plaines River without treatment. So really it's a program to prevent pollutants from getting into those discharges and reaching those waterways. Okay, so the type of pollutants we're thinking about typically for municipal stormwater runoff could be a wide range of things. Sediments, dirt, any other types of trash and debris that might be picked up by stormwater or by snow melt and washed into the storm drain inlets, which head through the storm drain system. We could have nutrients from excessive application of fertilizers, which contain phosphorus and nitrogen. Fertilizer or pesticide misuse could be discharged through the system. Any kind of heavy metals or debris from mishandling of different types of metal products. Bacteria as well, just from not managing waste well. And detergents from washing, oil and grease from improper handling of automotive or mechanical oil waste could be discharged through the system as well. So this permit from Illinois EPA, it authorizes the village to discharge that stormwater, but at the same time requires policy programs and trainings to remove or prevent as much pollution as possible from getting into that storm drain discharge. It also authorizes the village to discharge certain things to the storm drain system, like your hydrant flushing, irrigation water, firefighting flows, for emergency events, and things like residential car washing are allowed to be discharged to the storm drain system. It also authorizes controlled runoff from construction sites. So if construction sites are implementing their best management practices for preventing sediment or other types of soil loss from those sites, that cleaner stormwater can be discharged from those sites. The permit requires staff to implement those best management practices as well to prevent or reduce pollutant discharging from the system and really set the example for others that are doing activities that could discharge pollutants to the storm drain system. So Illinois EPA administers this program. It is a US EPA program. These are Clean Water Act requirements that the village is complying with. The permit goes by many names in the business. It's the Phase 2 General MS4 permit, the ILR 40 permit, or most municipalities just call it their stormwater permit from Illinois EPA. Not alone in implementing it, over 400 agencies get this general permit and implement similar requirements to protect their local waters. And like I said before, it's a 5-year permit duration. A couple of years there'll be a renewed permit, and there could be new requirements within that. We're waiting to see on that. So from a village perspective, there's a stormwater management plan that has been put together, and that really is the how of the documentation involved with this program. How are the requirements of Illinois EPA's permit implemented? What is the village doing to protect local waterways? And which departments within the village are responsible for that. Public Works is the lead agency. Community Development participates with certain requirements of the permit as well, and other staff. And within that program, there are 6 major components, or what the permit calls minimum control measures. The first 2 involve public education and outreach on stormwater impacts, so that village residents understand there are water quality issues and that water quality needs to be protected. Public involvement and participation elements like tonight, giving a presentation that the public could participate within. Third one, a program to detect illicit discharges and eliminate them. So if there's illegal connections to your storm drain system or spills or releases, having a program to detect those and an ordinance that could enforce the removal and the remediation of those type of discharges. Next 2 are construction site runoff and post-construction runoff control measures to prevent pollution from construction sites and how stormwater is managed after construction. And then lastly, pollution prevention and good housekeeping requirements. This is primarily for your village staff to know good pollution prevention practices, best management practices for keeping stormwater as clean as possible, and good housekeeping for managing village facilities and operations. So each of these program elements has several requirements, and several best management practices have been developed for village staff. So each of 5 years, the Illinois EPA requires a notice of intent to go in to apply for this general permit. So that's coming up, like I said, in about a year and a half. It's the program commitments. What is the village going to do for the next 5 years to implement this program? Also, the stormwater management plan, which I mentioned, has been developed. And Illinois EPA requires an annual report on this program be submitted by June 1st of every year. You're in compliance with that reporting time frame. It was submitted June 1st of last year. And IEPA requires 5 years of those annual reports be on the village website. So it's pretty easy to find on the village website this NOI to comply with the permit, the stormwater management program plan, how the village implements these requirements, and the last 5 years of annual reports are all on the website. So I mentioned training for village staff and best management practices. There's a long list of training that's required. It's a pretty substantial program, but this is just an overview of some of those training requirements that village staff receive. Training on parks and open space maintenance, waste management, fleet and building materials and waste management and how to prevent those from getting into the storm drain system, operation of storage yard, your salt facility, de-icing material use, stormwater maintenance procedures and proper disposal of street sweeping, catch basin materials, how flood management projects could be designed in a way to benefit stormwater quality or impact stormwater quality, green infrastructure controls and measures for stormwater management, and recognizing hazards associated with illicit discharges. Your staff have the eyes and the ears out in the community so they can see if things might be an issue for connections, spills, releases, things like that within the system. So annual training of all your contractors is also required by the permit. That's one of the new requirements in this 5-year permit. So any contractors that are performing services for the village have to either be trained by the village or show that they've received some sort of training in stormwater quality protection. So for any questions about this program, how it's implemented, the requirements, or what village residents could do to be protective of stormwater quality, know how to handle certain wastes or how to dispose or recycle certain things that they might have at their home, Public Works can be contacted for questions regarding that. The website has several materials that can be looked through, and then the phone number is 847-279-6900. So locally, the focus from a water quality, from a municipal runoff perspective, is these chlorides or dissolved salts from our de-icing activities, parking lot runoff, winter roadway treatment, and sometimes, in some cases, water softening. High levels of chlorides can create toxicity effects in our local waters and start to deteriorate the ecosystem, the natural processes that are happening within our local creeks. And then nutrients, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, excessive fertilizer use can generate too much phosphorus, too much nitrogen going into our local waterways, which will really fertilize algae and mosses and undesirable plant growth within our receiving streams and cause biological and ecosystem problems within those creeks as well. So here locally, we're thinking about these water quality effects, and village staff have implemented training to think about the amount of salt that's being used to still provide public safety on our roadways, but not use in excessive amounts that could deteriorate the environment. And then contractors or application staff for fertilizers, pesticides, making sure they're licensed and using the proper amounts of those chemicals as well. With that, I would be happy to take any questions about the program.
Trustee Lang?
I just have a question about the storm sewer manhole covers. Some of them I see have like a fish on them.
Okay.
So and I haven't noticed any around Wheeling at all. I'm imagining those discharge directly into a body of water.
So what you might be referring to is sometimes a storm drain inlet might have drains to river or drains to, or something like that, or a fish on it that says essentially this is not water that goes to a wastewater treatment plant. This is separate stormwater that's draining right to a local lake or a river or something like that. That is a BMP, a best management practice that some communities have implemented as part of their public education program. They're identifying within residential neighborhoods and areas within the village which areas actually drain straight to local waters and not to clean out or wash out anything or discharge something in there that should not be.
Is that it's a voluntary compliance to something like that?
It would be. A lot of these permit requirements, village staff get to decide what's the best thing for the village. Our resources, the amount of people, our local waterways, what our concerns are. So the permit may say you need to implement X, but you get to decide the best way for doing that. And maybe it's not storm drain inlet stenciling or messages at the storm drains. Maybe it's a different type of public education program that works best. Yeah, it's good that communities have the flexibility to implement things that are best for the amount of resources you have, and not having Illinois EPA telling every community you have to do it the same way, because it doesn't always make sense.
Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Papantos, then Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. I was just wondering what we do in the village to minimize chloride and salt on the roads.
We've, in the past 4 or 5 years, we've actually reduced our salt use by approximately 35%. So we've implemented computer measuring devices on our trucks. So when we do salt, we now have the ability to be very, very careful on how many pounds per lane mile that we apply, and we've been reducing that amount. Before we weren't measuring it very well, and we put on way more on the road than we had to do. So we've reduced it by a massive amount and still kept safety in the forefront. So it saved us money, and at the same time, it's really helped the water quality.
And do we, when the pretreatments that we use, is that?
Yeah, the pretreatments also reduce chloride, although the pretreatments do have chloride in them as well. But it does reduce the amount of salt that we have to put down. We put down the pretreatment, which is the liquid, and it does have, it's a saline solution. And then we put that down a day or two before it possibly could snow to reduce the effect that snow has on the roadway itself. We can scoop it up easier. That still is chloride, but it does allow us to use less rock salt.
And is there any recommendation for homeowners when they salt their own driveways or sidewalks? Is there a product that's better or not?
Not really. I mean, most every product out there is, it just depends how much, if it's a solution or with the kind of salt. Sometimes there's different types of items that they put in the salt. Could be magnesium, for instance. So you want to stay just the regular rock salt. That has the least effect, even though it still does have effect on our waterways. Just try to put down as little as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Pontos. Trustee Kruger?
And just another part of that is the significant investment the village has made in structures to house the amount of salt, the storage in between winter events. It's kept indoors under permanent structure so that every time it rains, some of that salt isn't being lost. It's been being managed very well at the facilities.
That's a really good point. When we built the Public Works facility, we spent a substantial amount of money on a silo that all of you have probably seen. The salt gets into that silo through a conveyor, and it does allow us to hold a substantial amount of salt, so we get less deliveries, but we also protect it from the weather.
Thank you.
Now, Trustee Kruger.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is about your commentary regarding fertilizer and nitrogen and phosphorus products and that effect. Wheeling has quite a bit of stormwater detention and retention areas. Some of those are near residential areas where people might be hiring True Green for their normal fertilizer and weed kill and whatnot for the year. How can we improve in an area like that where runoff may go into a detention basin that's designed for stormwater and that fertilizer is going to go in there?
Yeah, and
wash in there.
If that fertilizer is applied at the approximate, or the rate that it should be, just what the lawn needs or that vegetated area needs, there's not going to be a lot of runoff of that product. So a lot of it is trained applicators knowing how much to apply, what nutrients to apply at what times of year, so that they aren't being used in excess. And really the monitoring program that the village gave to check those basins to see if there is excessive growth of algae. Are we having a problem here or are we having a not? And prioritizing the limited resources that the village does have to implement this program, that would be part of that. If there was a basin or a section of town that was experiencing heavy algal growth, which can lead to eutrophication or other biological processes that lower dissolved oxygen down to a point where nothing can live in the waterway. That can happen from too much nutrients going in. That could be tested for. And if there is an area of the village that looks like that might be occurring, well, then we would focus some investigation resources towards that and see what really is the cause of that.
And in a detention pond that is groomed, I know that a lot of them are now, they use vegetative plant life that's, designed for that, and they're not necessarily mowed as much. But when they are, they likely don't use phosphorus and fertilizer products in that basin when it's dry, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Shouldn't be, right? That would be a standard.
Typically not. I mean, we don't have control over what people put in their detention basins, to tell you the truth. But as far as I know, hardly anybody is going to be putting or applying fertilizer or anything else in their basin when it is going to get full of water and it's going to wash away. It's really a waste of money for them. and I don't think they care that much about what kind of turf is inside their detention basin.
Okay.
Now, relative to algae, we really don't have water bodies that I know of in town that have an algae problem. One reason for that is because there's even though we're really flat here, most of the basins that we have or those streams, they do flow relatively well, so that the algae is not going to be, it's not going to build up in that sort of a place. But even some of the ponds we have, there really hasn't been an algae problem that I know of.
Very good. Thank you very much.
One good example of an issue in another community, not Wheeling, was a homeowners association was hiring a contractor to fertilize natural areas within a residential area. And homeowners were all hiring the same type of practices, and really some areas were getting double applied. And that started to show up in the quality of water, within the creeks in that basin. And it just took a little bit of research to dig into that problem to figure out that there was too much application, and then it was adjusted.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, trustees. Thank you.
Thank you.
13B, ordinance authorizing a redevelopment agreement between the Village of Wheeling and Hutton Wheeling SD LLC for the development of land at 1048 South Milwaukee Avenue, Wheeling, Illinois, comprising a part of the southeast 2 TIF district of the Village of Wheeling, Cook and Lake Counties, Illinois.
Mr. Ferrolo.
Thank you, President Horker. Before the board is an ordinance which, if adopted, would authorize the village president and clerk to execute a redevelopment agreement with Hutton Wheeling ST LLC for the development of a TIF project located in the Southeast 2 Tax Increment Financing District. The project, as you know, is a gas station, convenience store, and sandwich shop. There is a TIF incentive being pledged to this project. The maximum TIF incentive is $1,305,000. The details regarding the RDA that I'll go through. This developer has obtained zoning approval for the project. The zoning approval has been completed. The project will include an approximately 3,428 square foot building with a gasoline fueling bay, a drive-through with sufficient stacking, and 28 parking stalls. There will be significant public improvements required under the RDA relating to improvements on Sumac Road, as well as certain improvements on Milwaukee Avenue, which have been required by IDOT. There will be a new fire hydrant installed and a water main loop as well. The TIF incentive will be paid as follows: $500,000 upon completion of the project, which will be evidenced by a certificate of occupancy. The balance of the TIF incentive, which is $805,000, will be paid over time on what we call a pay-as-you-go basis. This means that as the project generates increment, the increment will be turned over to the developer on an annual basis. The developer will be able to obtain up to $805,000 if that amount is generated throughout the balance of the Southeast 2 TIF district. There are some clawback provisions in the agreement if the project were to go dark that we've included to protect the village. There is a schedule that I'll touch on briefly. Within 90 days after the execution of the RDA, the developer must seek building permits. Within 120 days, and by seek I mean apply for building permits, within 120 days, the developer must commence construction of the project, which must be completed within 36 months of commencement. We hope that it will be completed long before that, and I'm sure the developer does as well, given the nature of the project. So I know the developer's here with their team, if the board has any questions.
Questions to my left? Questions? Well, you came all this way. You want to at least introduce yourself?
Good evening, Ben Carroll with Hutton, the developer for the project, and yeah, we're happy to be here and answer any questions you may have. Appreciate all the work that the attorneys have gone through and all of you guys to support the project so far. Looking forward to hopefully getting it done.
Oh, I'll say something. Perfect use of TIF money. That's an area that really needs a shake-up a little bit, and hopefully with your project we can spur some more development along there. So
yeah,
maybe you might want to expand on that as well.
We'll look at that. Thank you.
Very good.
Get this one built and then move on?
Yeah.
There you go.
Excuse me, President Horker.
Trustee Papantos.
Just so I don't disappoint Trustee Vito, what's your timeline on this? I mean, it's aggressive, and I think it's worthwhile for you to move as quickly as possible. Do you have any?
Yeah, certainly.
inkling?
No, we've already applied for permits. We're probably 45 to 60 days out from now to finish those up. Primarily, IDOT's our biggest permit hanging out there still. And looking to start work probably around the 1st of May.
Fantastic, thank
Yeah,
you.
and it should take probably 210, 240 days, somewhere around in there.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. If there are no questions or comments, we do need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Vogel.
Second.
Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Welcome.
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So the main event.
Item 13C, ordinance granting a special use to permit a public safety facility, 780 Willing Road, Fire Station 23, docket number 2019-27A.
You want to, we'll do one at a time. You know what, we'll present them all at once. Read them all at once, please.
All right. How many? All of the way down to
D, E, and F.
D, E, and F. Ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the building setback from 35 feet to 30 feet along Wheeling Road for new public safety facility, 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 23, docket number 2019-27B. Item E, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to increase the maximum building height from 30 feet to 33 feet for a new public safety facility at 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 27, docket number 2019-27C. Item F, ordinance granting major site plan and appearance approval for a new building and related site improvements, 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 23, docket number PC 1924.
We are fortunate enough to have the fire chief sitting up here at the main dais tonight, so you've designated a representative to take the hot seat?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, the 4 ordinances you have in front of you is the next step in proceeding with the reconstruction of existing Fire Station 23. Tonight we have a very short presentation that will be made by Deputy Chief McGreal, and with him is Jamie Zara, who is our architect from 845 Design Group. Through their presentation, I believe they'll answer all 4 of the issues that have been read to you by the village clerk, thus why grouping all of these together at one time. So I'll turn this over to Deputy Chief McGreal.
Thank you, Chief. So tonight we're presenting for your approval 4 items. I'll try to keep them in order. The first one is special use, and that's when you're building a fire station per code, that requires a special use. And in this case, we're just replacing a fire station with a fire station. The second, we have 2 variances, one for setback and one for height. And for the setback, we're looking to go from 35 feet to 30 feet. For height, we're looking to go from 30 feet to 33 feet. So the backstory on this is the property is zoned I-1 or light industrial. Most fire stations are zone business. So the plan is later in the year to go back to the zoning board and try to right zone the property at 780 Wheeling, also zone at the same time work on right zoning or rezoning the property up on McHenry where the proposed plan for Station 42 is. So we'll get those 2. And also it's important to note that on January 22nd, these 4 items received unanimous approval from the Plan Commission. There were a few questions, and those questions Jamie's going to, she will address in her presentation. So if you, would you like a brief overview of the, for people who aren't familiar with the project? So the project's basically,
we got the packet.
yeah. The project's basically, we're replacing the fire station located at 780 Wheeling Road. The fire station's over 40 years old, and it no longer meets the needs of the village or the public. The station was originally designed with one engine in mind. Right now, we have an engine company, an ambulance company, the crash truck or the rig for the airport. We have firefighting foam stored there, and then a cache of special rescue equipment. So it's pretty tight. It's also not ADA compliant, nor does it have unisex facilities to meet the modern demands of a public safety facility. And we looked at first to rehab this property, and then we saw there's some very large dollar repairs that we would need. Roof, concrete pads, concrete floor, HVAC. So when we did the estimates, it was about half as much to rehab it as it was to tear it down. So we received direction to tear it down. The plan is to demolish the facility and build pretty much over the footprint. We're going to go from about 6,700 square feet to 11,200 square feet. And that'll enable us to put that extra bay and make them longer bays, and there's more storage, and be able to grow into that facility. Also, fire trucks are bigger, larger, ambulances are bigger now, so back in the day, you know, they didn't have to be that big. So if you look, when Jamie will do the presentation, you'll see that we're pretty much staying on the footprint. We're going to flip the station. So where the parking lot is now, if you're familiar with the area, and we'll show a plot plan in a little bit, that the building's going to be built there closer to the water tower to the north, and then the parking lot's actually going to go on the south side towards Hintz. There are some of the problems that create hardships with this project is, even though it's a 1.3 acre plot, we're kind of limited to what we can do with it because it's a rectangle, and we're close to Wheeling Road. We've got a lake behind there, Echo Lake, so we have to stay off of there. We have to the north village-owned property, which is where the water tower is, and there's a lot of infrastructure on the south side. We were originally going to move this over to closer to Hintz, but there was a lot of problems with infrastructure and water supplies and things there, so we stuck to where we're at now. And with that, I'm going to let Jamie do her presentation.
Thank you, and thank you for having us tonight. I'll try to be quick, but I wanted to speak of materials and some of what the chief mentioned about site and landscaping. So this elevation here is off of Wheeling Road. This is where primarily a lot of the landscape is going to be, because we tried to be strategic about where landscape placement was going to be, and also to cost too. So elevations that aren't going to be visible to the public have less landscaping. And this is the west elevation. This is going to be facing Echo Lake, so that's why there is really no landscaping here. When I get to the landscape plan, you'll be able to see the tree line. It's heavily on this side of the building, so you won't be able to see it. This is the south elevation. So again, there's a lot of landscaping here. This is what faces the parking lot and Hintz Road. So again, we tried to place the landscaping where you would be able to see it. This is the north side of the building that faces the water tower, really not going to be visible. So again, we didn't want to spend the money where you're not going to notice it. So some of the materials, there's also a material board here, and I can, oh, right here, sorry. It's right here, and I also passed a couple materials along so that you could see the weight of it, and it's a substantial product. So there's the accent panel. Well, actually, you know what, I'll go to this. Let's go to previous. Okay, so this is the accent panel here. This is the siding that you see here, that you see there. And then this is the horizontal, the beige is the horizontal siding. This is the white is the batten board, which is over the entrance. That's the vertical siding. This canopy here is a translucent material, that's this. The stone water table that's on the front elevation, and then the apparatus area is this. And then this sill is what caps it. And this is the trash enclosure and the generator enclosure material. And all of those fiber cement board materials are all the same manufacturer, just for ease of installation and accessibility. So during the Plan Commission, there was a question that came up based on the siding. The siding pieces are 18 inches tall by 10 feet long, and they would be on all four sides of the elevation. So this is an example of an installation that's local to Chicagoland area. And the placement I wanted to point out is there are reveals, but just as there are with masonry, you can't even see it here based on elevation, but the masonry has expansion joint here, and then that correlates with the joints in the siding. So we would do the same thing. We would correlate the joints with not with masonry, because there isn't any masonry on here, but with windows or doors, just as they did here, to hide the reveals. And the siding, as I said, is 18 inches, so these 3 pieces is one piece of siding, and you cannot see the delineation between the pieces. And I know there was a question also about the consistency of the color, and here, this is not the same color that we're using, but the same product. There is no definition in the different panels here. So this is just a 2D elevation to give you an idea of what the materials are. It's probably easier to see in your packet, but as I described, this is the custom color, this horizontal siding, the vertical batten siding, the stone, that translucent canopy, and then the dark anodized glazing is what we're using for the windows and the doors. We are also backlighting that sign for the station. These are just some examples. This is the fencing that we're proposing for the generator and the trash enclosure. The light fixtures at the doors are these up and down lights. They project both up and down. And then this is the light poles. There's 3 of them in the parking lot on the south end. And then this is an example of what we'd be using for the flag poles. There's 2 flag poles at the entrance. So here is the site plan, and this is what the chief was saying, is that this is flipped from what is currently there right now. The station is on the south end, and the parking area is on the north end. We're flipping this. As for the landscape plan, as I mentioned, the south and the east elevations are where we have primary landscaping. And again, we're using landscaping that's perennial, very low maintenance once it sets. And really, these tall grasses only need to be mowed in the spring. There's really no maintenance to the tall grasses. Again, parking lots on the south end. These are the existing trees. And then this is that line I had mentioned. That's the tree line here on the back end of the building. If you have any questions, I will take them.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jamie. This is not your first rodeo as far as fire stations, am I correct?
No, it is not. Thank you.
And that's basically what I'm getting at. You've done this before and been very successful, and I do want to congratulate our staff because we're building this fire station without going for bond, and I think that means an awful lot for the village of Wheeling. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Rufato?
Thank you. Just a question about the materials that the fiber cement stone water table that's on the facade on the east and the south. Does that go all the way down to the ground?
No, the foundation will be there. There'll be about 6 to 8 inches of foundation, and then it's above that.
Okay. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Lang?
Thank you. The overall building and plans are great. It's typical of what we can expect from 845.
Thank you.
And my question or comment, more or less, and John's not here, he'll get the message eventually. That corner really could use some more landscaping overall. I think it's it kind of begs for something better that we haven't really given it too much of any kind of look over the years. And nice corner, but it's wide open, and maybe there's some funding down the road for landscaping that we can look at.
Trustee Lang, that was actually brought up at the Plan Commission, one of the discussions. 2 things are going to come back later on. One is the sign for the site will actually come back at some point after it's built. The goal was to see what could be done down in this corner with the proper signage. So that'll be coming back before you at another time. The other item is, because these are very mature trees, one of the issues we got into is waiting to see how things play out, is to trying to minimize damage to the root structure. of some of the existing large trees. The goal was to try to save as many large trees. And what will have to be looked at here eventually is, as was mentioned by Deputy Chief McGrail, there's a lot of utility conflicts down here on this end with the Water Commission pipeline, our pipeline, a buried conduit from Commonwealth Edison, and a natural gas pipeline. Excuse me. So one of the things that was mentioned was making use of the village forester after this project was done and look at possibilities for either additional trees or additional landscaping, but once the project was completed.
Perfect.
So both of those will be coming back to you as the board for ultimate approval.
Great. I missed that in the Plan Commission, but I'm glad they covered it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Other comments? What is the typical life expectancy of this, the concrete fiber board?
So it's interesting, this product is from overseas and they have a lifetime warranty. But because there's nothing here that has a lifetime warranty that's comparable, they give it a 20-year warranty. Yes, it's very odd, but that's what I spoke to the representative about that.
Warranty there?
So I think it's because in a lot of projects, there have to be several different manufacturers and they need to be equal. So I think that's the issue.
Like the stuff because it's supposed to last forever.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. I just thought of something. You said that there's some landscaping on the east and south elevations, right?
Yes.
Is that required to have the irrigation?
So we went back and forth with irrigation, and the landscape architect selected plants that were perennial and that once they set within that 12 months, there'll be very minimal maintenance. So the goal is not to have landscaping there. Or, I'm sorry, irrigation. Irrigation.
I mean, it is a firehouse, right? Yes.
We have water.
They have access to some water.
No, we took it into consideration. We actually reduced the amount of landscaping to the south side of the parking lot and just kept it for appearance purposes on the corners. And we're going with drought resistant, some grasses and things like that where we can water seasonally if it needs it. So,
right. And I love the renderings. I really do. I think it's a great project. It's a long time coming. But I feel like I didn't watch the Plan Commission, so if this was already addressed. But in the past, I've seen buildings like this that would require a certain amount of masonry and brick work, and this is all cement board or product. So I was just wondering if that's a cost-saving measure or...
It is a cost-saving measure, and this did not come up at Plan Commission, actually. Unless it was behind the scenes. No, okay.
Okay.
we were looking for form and function, you know, and a budget amount, because the plan is, again, we were going to design it once and build it twice. So if in fact we are building up on McHenry, this would be the sister, per se, station to it. So we had to fit it in from, you know, you have Reynolds across the street, you got a lake behind it. It's more of an industrial location with the warehouses. Look up on McHenry by the water tower, we have a townhome development just to the north. Basically, you just see the backside of it. But we wanted, it's going to be set back far enough, but we wanted to make it kind of pop and still fit in both.
Very good, thank you.
So that's important to actually accent as well. One architectural design.
That's right.
Two.
If I may, Trustee Kruger, yes, this is different than a solid brick, but this is a form of masonry building. It is a concrete block, no maintenance building. It's just that it's a pre-engineered product versus a natural stone or a traditional, you know, created brick with manually applied mortar.
I think that the look is great, and I like I said, I like the renderings of the building. I think it's going to really shine as far as this site and its sister site. I just didn't want us to get, you know, too far into it without at least mentioning the alternative. So
I'd like to mention too that the original plan, there was two plans. One was to go to the south side, move it over there, and that proved it would be too hard. And then the second was to build it in phases, and we were going to keep the firefighters running out of that station and build and then house them in one spot and then move them and house them in another spot. So you'd have a lot of stops and starts. And Basically, we were able to go to Mavis on 233, hence, that's the former Public Works facility that we sold them, and that's the mutual aid box alarm system. And they have basic living quarters and a place they offered at no charge to house the fire company for a year. And they're doing a tremendous amount of work along with Wheeling IT, Public Works, getting it ready for, dispatching, speakers and radios and amplifiers so that we can be dispatched out of there. They've been over backwards, and they said the reason was because of the generosity of the village in selling them that property in the first place. That's the first thing they said, and that wasn't prompted. They said we owe because the facility is very conducive to what they do there.
Yeah, that was a great deal. And they're a great neighbor to have in town. And how quickly can our guys move? Fast?
I'll be honest with you, they could be out of there by the end of the week. They are all over this, and they, again, with Public Works, we've been through that station, and we're up and running. So we were planning, we were hoping maybe March 1st to move them out, and that could give us a couple months of an empty building, and facilities could do their thing, IT can do their thing, and then we can kind of catch up to where we will be coming before you, hopefully next board meeting, with a request to approve a contract with W.B. Olson, who is one of the firms. Over the summer, we put out a request for qualifications, and I think Chief, what did we get, 8 or 9 total? And then we interviewed 3 teams, and then we kind of do-si-doed with 845 and W.B. Olson, who have worked together before, and who we've worked with in the village separately. And we're going to come across with a contract for construction management from them, hopefully then go to bid for some subcontractors down the way. So
Very good. I couldn't be more excited. Thanks.
We good?
Yep.
We're going to take them one at a time. Clerk Simpson, please read, I'd like to read these and then ask for the motions.
Again? Okay.
Individually. So read C, please.
C is ordinance granting a special use to permit a public safety facility at 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 23, docket number 2019-27A.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Trustee Papantos, second, Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. D, please.
Item D, ordinance granting, C. Right. Ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the building's setback from 35 feet to 30 feet along Wheeling Road for a new public safety facility, 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 23, docket number 2019-27B.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, second, Trustee Krueger, roll call.
Trustee Krueger. Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Item E, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to increase the maximum building height from 30 feet to 33 feet for a new public safety facility, 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 23, docket number 2019-27C.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, second, Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Vogel. Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Item F, ordinance granting major site plan and appearance approval for new building and related site improvements, 780 Wheeling Road, Fire Station 23, docket number PC 19-24.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang gets the motion, second for Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Through my voice.
He got his share. He was quiet, but I saw him.
Trustee Rufato, okay. Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Welcome to Wheeling.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing this.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Item G.
Yes, please.
Item G, resolution authorizing the waiver of a competitive bidding and accepting a purchase contract for one case model 621GXR wheel loader from McCann Industries at an amount not to exceed $165,499.
Mr. Janik.
Thank you.
I read this. Heated seat. Ooh. That's the only thing that stood out in my mind.
It's cold out there.
I know. Please explain what this is.
Okay, this is a, Public Works has two end loaders. This is a 20-year-old end loader, case end loader, that Fleet Services has been nursing along for the last couple of years. Typically, we replace vehicles when they're at a certain grade point that Fleet Services uses. That's 33. This machine grades out at 40. I'm asking you for a waiver of competitive bidding. The situation is that there's a chart there. You can see we use a couple of national services that are governments, and they have public bids on certain machines. This machine was bid out at a certain price. Fleet Services was able to find another provider, McCann Industries, that would sell it to us for less money than the publicly bid price. So you can see from the chart, we're saving approximately $9,500. The machine, we traded in the old machine, we traded in some buckets, and we also are getting a new clamp bucket so we can pick up logs with this machine. But all total, we're under budget for what the our surf schedule has money for this machine, and we're getting it for under the publicly bid price.
Questions from the board? Right, left? It looks very nice. Did the old one have heated seats?
No, it did not.
See, that'll keep you awake.
That's correct.
Need a motion for approval?
What do you need a headrest for then?
You're gonna stay
awake.
The heated seat and the headrest. You can drive over a car.
So
I'll
moved.
make second.
Motion trustee Kruger, second trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Official communications?
Okay, since we only have this meeting this month, I'll talk about early voting, which starts on March 2nd, and it's going to be at Chamber Park at the church, where those that went to Lollipop Lane will know that's the church that it's going to be at. And it's the first week, it'll be the week of the 2nd, it'll be Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, Sunday, 10 to 4. The week of March 9th, it'll be 9 to 7, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 9 to 5, and Sunday, 5 to 4. And then Monday, March 16th, it'll be 9 to 5. Also, I'd like to tell all the senior citizens that on February 17th, there will be random act of kindness that will be held at the Social Hall at St. Joseph the Worker for seniors. It's a free breakfast. It's from 8 until 9:30. The police department, the policemen will be serving the food, and the Knights of Columbus will be cooking the food. Registration with Human Services at 847-459-2670. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Vito?
I'd just like to welcome Linda. Thanks for coming out and saying hi to us. We're really looking forward to having you on board at the Chamber. We've been through, as you know, a few executive directors. They kind of left us a little high and dry, but working with you for the past couple months, it's really, you can feel the improvement. So welcome aboard, and you'll learn as you go on that you don't have to stay for the whole meeting and listen to those fire stations and loaders or whatever we just bought, the heated seats. Yeah, but thanks for coming out. We're looking forward to working with you. And to the businesses in Wheeling, the Chamber is really a good resource and a great organization, puts on good events. So thanks and good luck.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. Trustee Rufato?
Yes, thank you. I just want to echo what Mr. Janik said about Aquahawk. I've gotten one of those letters, and I was truly amazed, and the amount of water I was wasting because there was a running toilet that I just could not find, So I did everything and finally found it. And I actually log in once in a while to the Aquahawk to see how much water I'm using, just to make sure that, and you can set limits on it if you're that into it. I just did it as a lark, and it really is a good system and great implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fato.
Should check the bathrooms. The toilets are normally in there.
Yeah, I know.
Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on what Clerk Simpson announced for early voting. I'm an election judge, so I'm going to fill you in. There are brand-new machines. So it may take a little bit longer. We're there. I will guarantee you the Wheeling site is never crowded, so if it happens to be a nice day, come out, take care of it instead of waiting for Election Day when it could be raining, snowing, and you just don't feel like going out. But they are new machines, so it may take a little bit longer. Please have patience. But there will be staff there to help you if you need any help. Thank you.
Yeah, why not? In the interest of full disclosure, my father went to school at St. Mary's. I've been going through some of the family history stuff, and I actually have a picture of him at a desk.
With me?
And me.
Everybody else did.
But I just thought that was fascinating. I didn't know you guys went to school there.
I'm an alum too, Pat.
You're looking good for your age then, Jamie.
Yeah, come to think of it, you're probably not in his class. Yeah. I have nothing else. We have no executive session tonight, but I get ahead of myself. You have before you the bills for January 16th through the 29th of 2020. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Trustee Vogel, second Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, that brings us to the adjournment. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Trustee Rufato, second Trustee Papantos. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Excellent evening, everyone.
Excellent.
That was a good one.